Hey everyone, it's Soundwave Spectre here today with a brand new Elden Ring gameplay preview trailer that has been released today and it was absolutely incredible. I'm extremely excited for it and I'm here to audio describe it because I don't want anyone to miss out on it because it was that awesome. So here we go.
Peggy 16.
Elden Ring gameplay preview.
Hello everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. In this video, we'll show some footage of our new action RPG, Elden Ring. We hope it helps to convey a little of this title's mood and gameplay.
A giant radiantly glowing tree in the background. An armored warrior with silver hair looks upon a radiant glowing tree in the distance. There are plains and cliffs covered by grass and yellow trees, a stone bridge in the distance.
Elden Ring is set here, in the lands between.
The warrior walks with his two-handed sword resting on his shoulder, towards a little yellow light.
This is a site of grace, acting as a place of rest for the player.
The warrior puts his hand over the grace as it pulses with yellow energy.
Occasionally, grace will manifest rays of guiding light.
The warrior summons a horse out of thin air, mounts it, and descends off the cliff with a mighty jump.
Of course, we're free to choose whether to follow this guidance, or head off to explore in a different direction.
Riding towards the large tree. Cuts ahead to the warrior riding past a guarded carriage escorted by troops and pulled by two humanoid monsters with large anchors through their chest, tethering them to the carriage. Tree once again in the background along with a long stone bridge that leads to a tower. Cuts ahead to the warrior riding through a pond as humanoids are standing around a large burning bonfire. A large wyvern comes in, landing and destroying the bonfire. Its mighty head has a rhino-like horn on its nose and two backwards horns on its head. Its body has a gray hair and its two wings and tail are absolutely massive. The dragon takes flight and swoops in with a leg stomp towards our warrior, who begins peppering the dragon with blue projectile spells from his staff. The dragon rains fire from above and leaves a trail of flames. From horseback, the rider summons a magic blue bow that fires 4 homing arrows at the dragon's head. A mighty slap on the warrior from its winged claw knocks the warrior down. Running, the warrior gets hit from the back by the dragon's horn. It comes for another swing, but the warrior blocks it with his sword. Another fire breath as the warrior on horseback deftly avoids the flames to charge in and stab the dragon's neck with his sword. Another horn swing. The warrior nimbly dodges out of the way, cocks back his sword and lets loose a mighty swing on the dragon's face, sending it back writhing in pain. The dragon loses its footing and falls on the ground as its left eye glows orange. The warrior runs up and jams his entire sword into its eye before ripping it back out viciously. Transition to a different player character who looks like the most stereotypical RPG hero, wearing a beige cape and walking in grass.
Hello? Can you hear me? Help me. I'm stuck. Hello? Please, anyone?
The hero walks towards the source of the pleading, which is a large jar with arms and legs.
Oh, my stars. I'm so happy to see.
He's stuck in a ditch.
I am Alexander, also known as the Iron Fist. And as you can see, I'm stuck here. Please, can you help me out of this?
The hero swaps out his sword and shield for a comically large club. The trees are blowing in the background.
Put those doubts to rest. I'll be just fine. I'm very well trained. Give it your all, I say.
After 2 large swings, the jar catapults out of the ground, landing on what would be his face before getting to his feet. The player approaches Alexander, who's crossing his long black arms.
Well played, good sir. Well played. Oh, that mighty wallop of yours almost spelt the end of me.
Cut to a new player character in what looks like a rogue-esque, wearing blue robes, a blue bandana, silver hair, and wielding 2 scimitars, looking over a mountain cliff. There's a castle in the distance to their 12, and 2 large glowing trees to their 11 and 1, all seemingly miles away. A dense fog in the trees down below. A world map.
The map can prove useful when exploring the world, and is populated by acquiring map fragments.
10 markers with different symbols appear on the map. The narrator marks a plant icon, and a forest, and a sword icon by a castle.
We can use markers to customize the map, such as setting reminders for the location of crafting materials or dangerous enemies. Beacons can also be placed to help with orientation.
Back to the player's perspective, there is a blue light where the beacon was placed.
Beacons placed on the map appear in the world.
Cut ahead to this character riding, approaching a geyser of air aside a vertical wall of stone on the side of a mountain. Going into the geyser, the player and mount are launched up, safely landing atop the mountain.
spirit springs can be used while on horseback to launch high into the air. This allows for stress-free traversal of areas with a great deal of verticality.
Weird to hear the words stress-free in a Souls game. Riding across plains in a storm, lightning seems to be drawn to hit these yellow flowers. Riding past goats, the player runs cliffside, scares away two eagles before jumping down onto a lower ledge and dismounting. The mount disappears as the player takes out a telescope and looks into a camp where enemies are patrolling with torches. After surveying a few guards and guard dogs, the player locks eyes on a carriage and zooms in even further.
The carriage over there is carrying treasure, an opportunity too good to pass up.
Opening a crafting menu.
We'll prepare for combat with some item crafting, using materials found in the world.
Navigating the menu, they craft sleep bone arrows. Crouching, the rogue sneaks behind a guard and fires one of the arrows deep into the guard's back. He falls asleep as the player approaches and jams their sword into their spine, finishing them off. The rogue takes out a larger scimitar and jumps to a guard below, coming down on them with a massive sword strike. The guard now on his knees, the player winds back a massive strike to the gut before finishing him off with another blow to the left collarbone.
Enemy stance can be broken with heavy strikes, such as when attacking from above.
Another guard misses with a strike of their own as the player backsteps and strikes with sword swings that send out spirals of
A
air.
variety of unique attacks can also be interchanged between weapons.
Charging towards the carriage, the rogue narrowly dodges a spear strike before the player slashes back, takes a backstep, and then teleports in front of the spearman, delivering a fatal vertical strike. At the carriage, opens a chest that has candles in front of it. Cuts ahead to a patrol that is approaching the rogue. The rogue summons white ghostly monsters.
In more perilous situations, we can summon spirits to assist us in battle.
Charge towards the guards.
Spirits vary greatly in type, so we look forward to players experimenting and finding their personal
Scenes of the
favorites.
fight between the rogues, the spirits, and the patrol. The rogue uses a double-bladed sword. With two scimitars, the rogue deftly fights a spearman, stabs him in the stomach before kicking his corpse away. Cuts to another player in location. A new knight walks forward with a staff and a spear. There is a thick orange forest ahead, and below is the raised stone path. A barbarian-looking woman appears, axe in hand, as she pumps her fist.
Online multiplayer can also be enjoyed with players from other worlds, from cooperative to PvP and invasions.
She jumps down to the next level of the destroyed stone path and waves for the player to do the same. The shining knight, looking down, does the same as they continue into the forest. The forest is thick and lush in various oranges and yellows, as if early autumn. Cutting ahead in their journey, they are crouching to avoid a large hunchback humanoid giant wearing a cloth to cover its features.
Deadly creatures stalk this forest, so we'll use stealth to avoid detection.
Further in the forest, in shadows of tree cover, another giant. It looks somewhat hunchbacked. Cutting ahead once more, the barbarian turns to the knight and flexes one of her muscular arms. A giant golden armored knight on a golden horse appeared charging in.
We've come across a boss guarding this area. We'll take it on with the help of our co-op partner.
The boss has a club that is the size of at least 3 people and a shield equally large. Montage of various battle scenes. The barbarian charges in close as the knight fires magical bolts with her staff. The players and boss exchange vicious blows. The knight raises their staff in their left hand and summons a purple cloud above the boss that looks as if it is the night sky itself with stars before purple energy pours down mimicking rain. The golden mount breathes fire. The boss's club makes red lightning with its attacks. The knight dodges a shield attack as the barbarian screams. A dragon maw appears in front of her as she breathes fire upon the boss. The knight charges and unleashes a massive blue beam of energy. Transition to the beige-caped hero now riding. He's descending down into a dungeon at the base of a mountain. There is an old wooden doorway. The frame of the door is carved into the mountain. The hero opens with both hands, pushes against the heavy door. Descending down the stairs, there is a site of grace, emitting yellow light. A site of grace is lit like a bonfire as the hero pulls out a torch.
Catacombs, caves, mines, and other dungeons can be found while out exploring the world.
A skeleton forms from a pile of bones. Further into the crypt.
These dungeons each hold their own secrets, from hidden treasures to fearsome bosses.
There are torches on the wall emitting gray light and giant cleavers coming from the ceiling. Cuts to a new hooded character following another player character with metal claws for a weapon. The clawed character leads the hooded player to an illusionary wall. With an after you motion, it leads to a hidden altar with a chest to which they open. Upon the hooded player opening the chest and collecting his loot, the clawed character jumps up in excitement. Cut back to the original warrior with silver hair who is sitting at a site of grace. Blue lights dance around as a hooded woman appears and stands to his side. The silvered hair warrior turns to her and looks.
Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Melaner.
Her arms come out from under her cloak. She kneels down and removes her hood. Her right eye is open while her left eye is closed. There is a dragon claw tattoo over her left eyelid, extending to her cheekbone.
I offer you an accord.
Cuts back to the warrior approaching a massive castle.
We've reached Stormvale Castle, a large-scale dungeon which connects seamlessly with the surrounding Limgrave region.
The warrior heads towards an iron gate entrance. The warrior turns to the left to see a sickly, almost decomposing-looking man standing in the corner of a dining hall.
You there? Come over here, would you?
He stands next to a lantern opposite a huge hole in the wall.
You're tarnished, aren't you? I would advise against taking the main gate into the castle. It's tightly guarded by hardened old hands. Oh, try the opening right here. The guards don't know about it. You'll breach the castle undetected.
Two choices appear, and the warrior chooses, no, I'll use the main entrance.
Fair enough. You certainly don't have to trust me. Well, if you must go through the gates, I'll signal them to open. But of course, I'd advise against it.
The warrior turns around and heads back towards the iron gate. At the iron gate,
The gates! Open the gates!
the gates rise. The warrior heads forth, immediately takes a barrage of projectiles from far away. Realizing the man was right, he goes back to the dining hall and drinks a potion.
The main route seems risky, so we'll try entering through a back way.
The warrior heads along a wooden plank path, fighting hooded swordsmen along the way. He summons 3 skeletons to dispatch the first. He dual hands a spear as he fights another swordsman, impaling him with the spear, finishing him with a vertical strike. Takes his sword back out. The last of the 3 hooded swordsmen unleashes a similar air attack the rogue did earlier. The warrior dodges it and does a backswing, killing him. Entering the structure, he runs past enemies with only a torch for light. Crossing a tight wooden plank, he fires a fire arrow at an enemy.
Extra care should be taken when moving through dungeons, as visibility and terrain differ from when in the open. We hope players enjoy getting a feel for the different types of areas and coming up with suitable strategies for
A pale,
each.
human-looking monster with a foot-long neck appears and backstabs the warrior. Cuts to the warrior above some kind of hall on a wooden platform. There is some globby looking monster below, and human appendages hanging from the ceiling on meat hooks. Cuts once again to the warrior on top of the castle roof, walking past an array of bodies and blood. Jumps across a ledge to look at another large glowing tree in the distance. The cathedral castle walls and other buildings are dwarfed by the size of the glowing tree. Jumping roof to roof, and then entering the window of a church, there is a body on an altar next to a man with a large sorcerer's wide-brimmed hat.
Dungeons are complex and multi-layered, meaning they can be tackled from a number of routes.
Ah, nice to meet you. The pleasure's mine. Roger's the name. A sorcerer, as you might have guessed. I'm looking for a little something here in the castle. When I'm not hot-footing it from the troops, that is. But enough about me. What are you doing here in Stormvale Castle? This place is bristling with tarnished hunters, you know. They sacrifice our kind for grafting. Not exactly a place I'd stroll into without a purpose in mind.
Cutting ahead, a large falcon with metal talons swoops in. Cuts to the warrior fighting a large knight with a red hood wielding a sword and shield. Our warrior parries a swing of the sword and jabs his own into the gut of the enemy. He drinks a potion before jumping down into a courtyard. Heading up the stairs in the courtyard, the warrior approaches the infamous staple in this series, a fog door. This one is green.
In this next boss fight, we challenge one of the demigods, ruler of Stormvale, Godric the Golden.
Through the fog door, in a courtyard, a large, hunched-over golden knight wearing a green cloak touches a dead dragon's head. The dragon is impaled on a structure.
Mighty dragon, thou art a true-born heir. Lend me thy strength, O kindred. Deliver me unto greater heights.
The boss turns his pale head.
Well,
He grabs his insanely large axe as many small hands appear from under his back, tossing off his green cloak. His right arm has a smaller arm on it. The smaller arm also wields an axe.
plain as a lord,
He drags his large axe around him.
I command thee.
He slams his golden axe.
I am the lord of all that is golden.
The Golden Lord begins to charge as the warrior imbues his sword with a red energy before charging in as well. The massive boss's wild axe swings invoke a gale of wind around him. The boss swings and rolls around wildly as the warrior summons a large spirit to aid him. Upon appearing, the spirit begins to attack. While the spirit is fighting the lord, the warrior charges his sword with magic as it doubles in size for a massive downward slice. Later in the battle, the lord's left hand turns into a massive dragon head and is now swinging and breathing fire at the warrior. It unleashes a series of rolling and swinging attacks. The barrage of axe swings, dragon's head, horn attacks, and fire. The demigod catches the warrior in his dragon maw hand and violently chomps and emits fire on the warrior before slamming the warrior down and unleashing a blaze of fire, point blank. Fade to black.
Thank you for watching. This was just a brief introduction to Elden Ring's fundamentals, but more details will be revealed at a later date. There's not long to go now before release. In the meantime, we greatly appreciate your continued support.
Trailer. Warrior riding.
The tarnished will soon return.
Warrior fights another on horseback. Text on screen. The lands between call your name. The warrior riding. Text, now rise, tarnished. A werewolf knight howls. Castle.
Someone must exterminate extinguish thy
A
flame.
monster with a hideous face and a scorpion tail.
They will fight,
A giant werewolf knight.
and they will die.
A horse jumping off a cliff. A monster with a bowl of fire on his
For
head.
how else is a champion to be born?
A massive red dragon throwing red lightning. A giant, a mighty stag. The warrior getting caught by the demigod's hand. The demigod's dragon hand breathing fire. Text on screen. Elden Ring. This is Elden Ring, February 25th, 2022. Pre-order now and get a digital adventure guide and bonus gesture. There's a collector's edition with an awesome statue of Michaela, 40-page art book, exclusive steelbook, the game and a digital soundtrack, with a premier collector's edition which comes with all the same, and an official helmet. The helmet's got wings like an angel. And then just a summary page. I cannot wait for this. This game looks amazing. As it comes up, it says thank you for watching. And I have to know who else is excited here. I played all the Souls games. I'm terrible at all of them. Luckily, I have a friend who's amazing at them and carries me through. When this game comes out, I'm going to be doing a full audio description of the entire game. Look forward to it. Currently trying to audio describe all the Souls games. Once again, this is Soundwave Spectre trying to make video games more accessible, and I just wanted everybody to know what's going on in this video here, because it was amazing. If you like what I'm doing here, be sure to give me a like and a comment down below. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.